Welcome to our webinar today entitled Intelligent Systems for Customer Retention. My name is Colin Gelfer, one of the co-founders of Atrium, and I'll be one of your hosts today. Also joining me from Atrium, we have Adam Rourke, Senior Strategy Consultant, and Dr. Andrew Carroll, Senior Data Scientist. For today's agenda, we're going to spend a few minutes discussing some emerging trends related to customer retention, and specifically how companies are leveraging AI and machine learning to advance their retention efforts. We'll then spend a little bit of time reviewing a couple case studies, and then finally, we'll see some of these use cases in action during a live demo. Now, I realize that for many of you, Atrium might not be a household name just yet. So before we jump into the meat of the content, just a little context on our organization. Atrium is a platinum Salesforce consulting partner that is focused on taking insights from Einstein, both descriptive analytics and machine learning generated insights, and pushing those into the workflow of an end user so that they can take action. And that action is often taken in cloud applications like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and the broader Salesforce platform. So at Atrium, you want to bring three elements together: business strategy paired with data science skills, and the ability to implement cloud applications with a data-driven approach. At Atrium, we service a broad set of use cases, but for many of our clients, they're really focused on three high traffic areas. The first being customer acquisition. How do I convert more leads to actual customers? Growth and retention, which will be our focus here today. And then predictive forecasting. So how do I identify quality revenue streams and ensure that I'm going to hit my targets that I've set my plan around? So now I'm going to transition the conversation to Adam, who's going to spend a little bit of time talking through some of the macro trends related to customer retention. Adam?
Thank you, Colin, for the introduction. I'm excited to be able to share some insights into the current trends in customer retention and speak on the real value. Most companies don't have the financial impact knowledge around customer retention and attrition to understand the true value of retaining their customers. When we look at potential revenue for consumers, we start to understand the losses that may incur when a consumer makes the switch to another provider. It is estimated that US companies lose $136.8 billion per year due to avoidable consumer switching. Understandably, companies don't always recognize the value of retaining a current customer over seeking and acquiring new ones. Companies tend to focus on acquiring new customers, but at the end of the day, acquiring new customers is anywhere from 5 to 25 times more expensive than retaining an existing one. According to research conducted by Bain & Company, increasing customer retention rates by a mere 5% could increase profits by 25 to 95% depending on the industry. Think about how your company operates and how much of your business model depends on renewals. The answer will vary. Then think about how much revenue your organization receives from expanding those relationships. Expansion revenue represents the additional income a company receives from cross or upselling to its existing base. But if that base is diminishing, so is our ability to expand. Are your company's analytics designed to recognize these trends? And more importantly, what actions are being driven off those insights? If you keep this statistic in mind, you will start to shift your focus to uncover and act on valuable data insights. The probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%, while the probability of selling to a new prospect is 5 to 20%. And with the impacts of the novel coronavirus, retaining existing customers has jumped to the top of companies' priorities in order to maintain their current revenue. Now, we have to ask the tough question. How does your company stay ahead of the curve, and what actions are you taking to keep customers longer and make them more profitable? When we look at where most companies are in the maturity of their customer retention predictive capabilities, we find that they fall somewhere around standalone reporting and self-service retention analytics. Almost all organizations have some sort of reporting that provides insights into customers that have left over a specific period of time. However, as one may guess, this is extremely reactive and most likely too late in the retention lifecycle to make a meaningful impact. At this point, the customer has already decided to leave, so trying to convince them otherwise will prove difficult. As we look towards maturing in our data-driven maturity curve, we look towards early adoption and how it allows us to utilize predictive retention analysis. And with predictive retention analysis, we expand our capability to understand different factors that could cause churn so that we have actionable insights on the data that we are seeing and also allowing us to act on retaining our customers. There's obviously a tremendous amount of opportunity for AI to positively impact the customer retention space, but many of the solutions are just out of reach. There are real-world use cases, however, that can be considered now. Some depend solely on more sophisticated analytics, while others are dependent on the development of AI models, interpretation of the model results. Several practical use cases are included in the next couple of slides. As we demystify the broad topic of customer retention and how we reduce churn, we look towards a few use cases and capabilities for predictive retention analytics and what the upper stage of the maturity curve provides to us. First, customer health analytics can provide a meaningful way for your team to surface insights for sales representatives and actionable insights for scoring your customers' health. Through capabilities such as predictive customer health insights and CSAT scoring and enhancement opportunities, we can provide companies with the ability to have a holistic approach to maintain customer satisfaction. Next, renewal strategies allows us to evaluate how data science practices and modeling can help us to understand which of our customers are more likely to renew their policy. Renewal propensity scoring allows us to determine which customers we can prioritize and in turn provide tailored discounts and offerings. Next, churn aversion gives companies the ability to identify key factors impacting customer spend decline and ultimately models that can detect early churn. Early churn detection analytics, predictive churn models, and attrition risk factor identification allows companies to be proactive rather than reactive in acting on customers and also gauging their future strategies to keep these risk factors in mind. Next, purchase pattern analytics makes it possible for companies to identify a customer's typical purchasing behavior, giving us the ability to not only forecast more accurately, but also understand anomalies when they occur in purchasing patterns. Next, churn segmentation. It allows companies to understand how environmental and industry factors impact churn. Through attributes and predictive churn models that can identify market pressures, we can set strategies to avoid this churn. And finally, retention activity impact analysis. This surfaces the most valuable activities to averting churn in each context through recommended next actions, predicted expected return of retention activities, and NPS scoring and CSAT improvement. There are countless use cases that apply to customer retention. We just hit on a few. All in all, this shows the value of expansion into what intelligence solutions can do for your customers and also help with your retention practices. Now, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Andrew Carroll. He's a machine learning engineer from Atrium's data science team. Andrew's going to share some of the examples of how Atrium has solved a couple of these use cases that we just reviewed. Take it away, Andrew.
Thanks so much, Adam. So you've seen some of the use cases. How does this all work in the diverse landscape of industries? Well, one recent engagement has centered around multi-level marketing. This is a world in which members run their own businesses and make sales to other members. They prioritize their own days, but how can the less confident seller who is new to building a business have some just-in-time guidance sitting in their mobile app every morning on how to best build their business? We used Einstein Analytics to provide sales manager level members details on their own progress and their customers' progress. Predictive models identify customers at risk and provide business best practice recommendations to guide sales activities. Because of the UI design, records of this guidance and reactions to it are captured for analysis downstream to allow us to promote the next most valuable action in future iterations. In a completely different context, we've implemented account management and churn modeling for a large B2B sales organization. Analyzing CSAT proxy data, spend cadence, and by category trends, we surface at-risk call lists to representatives with human readable risk factors. This AI experience is married with account health dashboarding for at a glance information. Now, sales representatives are able to prioritize their day. Accounts at risk are addressed before they need to hit the save desk. And executive and sales teams alike have visibility into pipe management and opportunity conversion from their daily workflow. Finally, we turn to the recurring subscription-oriented service in the form of automated automotive insurance brokerages. This solution was heavily based on Einstein discovery models to predict year-on-year policy retention propensity. The effort led to increased understanding of high-risk versus low-risk policies, highlighted policies at need of some attention, and even built improved partnership strategies with carriers and improved data collection procedures along the way. With that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Molly, who will be walking you through a demo that illustrates some of the functionality that we've built to address retention issues.
Thanks for taking the time today to learn more about how Sales Cloud and Einstein can help surface key information about accounts for your sales representatives. Field sales and specialty sales reps, regardless of industry, generally manage territories with an extensive and diverse account base. Many field reps are covering a large portfolio of products as well, and they need to maximize revenue opportunities for their customers. Our goal today is to demonstrate how organizations can enable their field sales and specialty sales reps to prioritize their daily activities, perform account potential analysis, and collaborate with one another, all in order to maximize revenue opportunities. This demo will share the perspectives of Michelle Russell, a field sales rep who wants to optimize her day and to identify account potential across multiple stages of the customer lifecycle, and Tara Schmidt, a specialty sales representative who wants to identify scenarios that have utilization levels outside of common consumption thresholds. Let's swing over to Salesforce to get a closer look at how Sales Cloud and Einstein will impact Michelle and Tara's workflow. One of my primary focuses as a field sales rep is to identify account potential within my territory for net new sales, as well as add-on and repeat business. I want to determine the likelihood that an account will buy a particular product or service so that I'm focusing my valuable time on opportunities that are more likely to convert. In this scenario, I want to isolate accounts that have purchased one or more products from my organization's portfolio, but have not purchased a suggested value-added service. I'm going to create a new services opportunity for Fuller, as I can see that it has a fairly high propensity to buy. I can do this by selecting the Create New Opportunity option from the list of available actions. Create New Opportunity. I'll save it, and then I'll open the opportunity record. I recognize that the likelihood to close is lower than I'm hoping for, but this is an early stage opportunity, and I trust that the score will improve as I begin to follow Einstein's recommendations. In this case, this is an add-on service that Einstein knows I need a specialty service rep to provide me a quote for, so I see that my next best action is to request a quote. I can click here on Request, and when I do this, the specialty service representative assigned to the Fuller account will receive a task notification, and we will see later how it displays in her home page view. So you'll see the due date is there, who it's assigned to, and its priority. Once I receive that quote from Tara, I will be able to determine if we're willing to consider a discount. In this scenario, I want to identify and isolate accounts that have a footprint with our specialty service team, but have remaining potential for expansion. I'll filter the list of accounts down to those with only partial coverage by clicking here again, operator equals partial, and apply, and the dashboard facets accordingly. I decide that I want to create an amendment opportunity for Hawkins because the propensity to buy is encouraging, and I can see that the age of the last uncovered purchase is longer than 2 months ago. I should make a move before I lose out on a prime follow-up window. So I'll select the account level action next to Hawkins, choose Create Amendment Opportunity, and fill out this form here. After saving the opportunity, I can take a look at the opportunity page. We can see in the top right-hand corner that there are a few key factors that are contributing to the likelihood to close for this opportunity. I see that applying a discount between 6 and 10% will cause a measurable improvement to this score. So I decide to engage with finance to determine if additional discounts can be offered. I'll go down to Next Best Action, click Contact Finance Representative, and a form will appear where I see that the contact information for the finance director related to Hawkins is already populated. And once we agree to a reasonable discount level, I can enter that value, let's say 8%, and I will see the likelihood to close has been updated. So I'll click Next. We see the same number there, but then when we refresh the page, we can see that likelihood to close has been updated. Scrolling down, I see that the next best actions have now been updated as well. Einstein is progressively guiding selling and strategically surfacing actions. As a sales representative, I also depend on recurring subscriptions or contract renewals to keep my pipeline healthy. In order to ease my workload and to ensure I am aware of upcoming expirations, my organization has automated the creation of renewal opportunities for accounts within 3 months of their expiration date. I want to do everything possible to ensure that these renewals are not at risk. In this scenario, I want to identify and isolate accounts that have an upcoming expiration date and low health scores. This may be reflecting an underlying adoption or service-related issue that needs to be addressed. To isolate these accounts, I'll filter on those with contracts expiring in the next 3 months. So I'll click on contract expiration term equals in next 3 months and apply. Holt stands out for me. It looks like their consumption rate, or ROI, is pretty consistent with what we would expect at this stage, but their account health is worrisome. I want to dig into this a bit further, so I'm going to go to Holt's account page. I can open the record directly from the account list. So I'll go to Holt and open record. I see here on the account page that there are several metrics in the highlights panel that give me a quick overview of the account. As expected, Holt has been consuming services at a steady rate throughout their contract. I can also see details like primary contact. When I navigate to the Related tab, right here, I have visibility into the account team. Also, if I navigate to the Opportunities tab, just as expected, the auto-generated opportunity has been associated with this account. When I click on the Health Score tab, I can see all of the key factors that are contributing to the score. In this case, there seem to be some service-related issues. Now it makes sense why the average tech survey score is a 2. Einstein has obviously identified that there's risk with this account, and the next best action is to create an action plan. So I'll go here, click Start, and the action plan template is being generated. I will engage with other account team members to fill this out before we meet with our Holt stakeholders. So if I click here, I can see that action plan template has been created. I want to make sure that I get that meeting on the schedule, so I decide to schedule the business review now. I click Schedule, and I'll actually be able to schedule it right here. So I'll make that meeting for 1 week from today, and helpfully I can see that my primary contact's information is already filled into this event window. Once I schedule the meeting, the next best action cards will refresh again to guide additional recommended action for this account. We have reviewed how field sales representatives can effectively manage their day's activities and to identify account potential for land, expand, and renew opportunities. Now, let's transition to a specialty service sales representative to see how she evaluates consumption levels to determine if there is a need to amend an existing contract. I'm now logged in as Tara Schmidt, a specialty sales rep. Just like my field sales counterpart, Michelle, when I log in first thing in the morning, I can see a detailed account dashboard. What catches my eye this morning is a task to generate a quote for Fuller Memorial Hospital. I want to take care of that as soon as possible, so I click into the task here. From here, I'll work to create a quote and then close it by marking it complete. I can then share the details of the quote with Michelle, the account manager. So I'll navigate to this page, scroll down to Chatter, and write a message for Michelle. Now when Michelle reviews her notifications, she'll see a new Chatter post from me, and we can continue to collaborate on the opportunity until it closes. As a specialty services account rep, I'm particularly interested in my account's consumption rate against their current contracts. Within my organization, we refer to that metric as ROI, and accounts that have surpassed 100% of their services value are particularly troubling. This means we're losing margin and missing out on revenue. I want to identify those accounts that have exceeded their ROI so that I can take the next best steps toward better aligning their consumption with their contract. I'm going to filter my list down to those accounts where ROI is greater than or equal to 100. I want to dig in further to Kennedy Health Clinic. I notice that the health score is low on this account, and there is likely some guidance from Einstein on what the next best action is that I should take. So I'll click the arrow here, click Open Record. And now that I'm on the account page, I notice that Einstein suggested that I should reach out to the account manager. So I decide to follow Einstein's guidance and chatter Michelle as a next best action. I'll click Chatter here. And that's been accepted. So once this is complete, I'll be able to show you how a chatter post is automatically created for the account owner to request time to review the ROI spike. Michelle will also see the post within her notification thread. So our flow finished. And when I review the chatter tab on the account, I can actually see my post to Michelle. She'll now see my post in her notifications and will receive an email. I look forward to working with her to amend our agreement with Kennedy. So we'll go back to the home screen to finish this up. And thank you so much for spending the time today to review this demonstration. We hope that you have some fresh ideas about how you can create a more efficient account potential identification process for your team.
Thanks, Molly, for that awesome demo where we could see some of these customer retention practices in action. And so as we wrap up today, hopefully you've seen how AI and analytics can really help you retain your customers and extend into some growth opportunities for land and expand as you go forward. Now, certainly each organization is going to have their own playbook for how to address retention and customer success, depending on the industry you're in and your go-to-market motions. And if you'd like more help on how to get started with this journey and really craft your own specific playbook around customer retention, please reach out to us at atrium.ai. And thanks for spending some time with us today.